Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Williamsburg City Council meeting of January 11th. Ms. McKay, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Ms. Ramsey?
Here.
Mayor Pons?
Here.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Here.
Ms. Kernshire? Here.
You all have in your packets the minutes from the November 6th meeting. Are there any corrections, additions, alterations? Is there a motion to approve?
I move that the minutes from November the 6th be approved.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. McKay?
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Kernshire? Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda is a matter of special privilege, and I would like to welcome Senator Normant up to the podium with me, if you would, please. You already got your round of applause. There's not much more to say. Come up here.
Well, you know, I learned, when people congratulate you before you say anything, don't say anything.
No, that's right.
Well,
We'll make this brief, but we do have a special recognition for all your years of service to the Williamsburg community. And while your time in the Senate only partly overlapped for the city, there's very little that anybody can do to recognize somebody who's made such contributions that you have. And so, in our own special way, we honor retired city officials by flying the flag over the Capitol building. And so we've got a little video we'd like to play for you. And so we'll play a video, and then we're going to bring in the gift for you.
Wow.
So as you can see, this is a special recognition for you, for all your hard work, dedication that you've provided in the Senate, but also on the James City County Board of Supervisors. We're going to miss you and your leadership there. We know that you're going to stay involved in the community on the William and Mary Board, and the Jamestown-Yorktown Foundation, and any number of other things. So congratulations on your retirement. Thank you for everything, and now you can say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Even though I'm a James City County boy, because when I started out, Skipwith Farms was still right next to Towana in the minds of many people. But I have enormous affection for the city of Williamsburg, and you mentioned going back to when I was on the Board of Supervisors before some were even born. On it, that I served as a liaison to the City Council on a number of issues, controversial and not controversial, some of which persist. And then the opportunity I had for 11 years to serve on the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation. And actually, I was the first local appointed to that board since Vernon's dead, which had been 30 years. And that was a wonderful experience just because I had some local knowledge. And then finally, the years I've served in the Senate until some misguided public servants decided to split James City County from the city of Williamsburg in redistricting, but I have enormous affection for the city, and I thank you for your leadership. We've had an interesting relationship over the years, and thank you for your leadership, and thank council very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Good to
Mayor.
see you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Takes us now to the next public hearing, which is consideration and action regarding PCR number 23-015 for a special use permit located at 7239 Pocahontas Trail to operate and expand the WATA public transportation and maintenance facility located in the limited industrial district. Ms. Griffin.
Yes, Happy New Year and good afternoon, Mayor Pons and members of City Council. I'm here today just to go over briefly the requests made by Williamsburg Area Transit Authority, what we know as WATA. They have requested a special use permit to expand their public transportation and maintenance facility, their operation there. They've operated at this location for some 20 years, and it was also 20 years ago, around 2020, that the land use designation was changed to semi-public, and also the zoning was changed from museum support to limited industrial with the special use permit to accommodate the WATA facility. This here is a site plan that shows how the facility will be laid out. There is an expansion, and it will include new construction to house their administrative operations and community areas. There will be the construction of a vehicle wash bay, an on-site fueling area to replace the current facility, the restriping of the existing parking areas, some improved stormwater management, and associated utility and sidewalk improvements. As you know, anytime we're looking at a special use permit, we consider 6 criteria, and I won't belabor all of these. The comprehensive plan, this is in the comprehensive plan as a public and semi-public. Again, this happened, designation happened 20 years ago. They've been operating all of this time. Their use expansion will not change anything dealing with the comp plan, and we believe that it is in keeping and in harmony with the comp plan. In fact, in Chapter 15 of the comp plan, we talk about the expansion that's going to be taking place. Looking at the zoning district, again, this is limited industrial. They're not changing anything that will change their use, and so therefore we feel that it is still in keeping with the limited industrial district. And then the question is, lastly, is it in harmony with the development surrounding? We don't feel that this expansion is going to deter any development surrounding the area, and we don't feel like this development itself is not in harmony with the character of the community. And then the 3 last criteria that we look at is it adequately served by essential public services? Is it going to destroy or damage any ecological, architectural, archaeological resources? And then is it going to be sited and landscaped and designed in accordance with the zoning ordinance? I've gone over the site plans. I won't do that again, but I will say that the Site Plan Review Committee did recommend this moving forward to the Planning Commission at their November 15, 2023 meeting, and at the December 20th Planning Commission meeting, they did recommend approval. With that, we know that this area is going to be sited correctly with the landscaping and following with the site plan regulations for the zoning ordinance. And so the Planning Commission, again, recommended approval. And staff also recommends approval of the special use permit. We believe that this particular use meets all of the criteria outlined in the zoning ordinance. I'm happy to answer any detailed questions that you have, and we do have a representative from WATA here to answer questions also.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. Do anybody have any questions for Ms. Griffin?
Okay.
Thank you. So with that, we'll open the public hearing, which is an opportunity for anybody to come forward to speak to this matter. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and come back to council for discussion and consideration. For me, I think this serves, the public in that it's WATA, and public transportation is an important aspect of a service that we provide here, and this expansion will help them do that. And as Ms. Griffin said, it's in harmony with the surrounding areas and doesn't have any significant impact. So I can support it. Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to moving forward and seeing some completion there.
Yes, I agree.
Same for me. I think we've already seen this once before and approved it then, and I believe that there were some issues with timing is what has brought it back to us today.
I'm in agreement. I was on the previous council that reviewed this, so excited the project will go forward.
Somebody like to make a motion?
Sure. So I move that City Council approve PCR 23-015.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Kernscher?
Aye.
Takes us to item B, consideration and action regarding PCR number 23-020, the rezone property located at 530 Mill Neck Road from limited business to single family and PDR.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We have received a request from the applicant that this hearing be postponed. I'd like to invite the applicant up to make that request to the council.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm Vernon Getty, both the landowner in this case and representing the applicant, Derek Robertson, and his partner. We have requested that you table the case today. We're certainly aware there have been a number of issues and questions raised with regard to the number of units and layout of the proposed project, and we'd like to take this opportunity to come back to you next month with a revised plan that attempts to address those and get it to you well ahead of time so it can be fully vetted by Tevye and her staff. And let me say, while we had a meeting with neighbors early on in the process, as you know, my office is right by the property and my door's open. I'm happy to meet with anybody in the community that has an interest in it and happy to chat on the phone as well. So hopefully we'll be back to you next month with a different and improved plan. Thank you.
Thank you. So we will, do we need a motion to table? Okay. Somebody like to make a motion to table?
So I move that we table PCR 23-020.
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Kernscher?
Aye.
Takes us to item C. It's consideration and action regarding proposed resolution 24-02, amending the budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. Ms. Dameron.
Yes, the city was fortunate to receive a $3,903 grant from the Virginia Risk Sharing Association, and this funds CPR mannequins and street barricades. And then in November, council awarded $1,790,000 in tourism fund grants, and these just need to be appropriated in the tourism fund, as well as a couple of projects are transferred from the tourism to the CIP to manage. And so we request these appropriations so we can go ahead and use those funds.
Any questions for Director Dameron?
Question.
I do have.
Yes,
I have one. Director Dameron, I'm not sure if you or someone else from the city may be able to best speak towards it, but I've gotten some questions since our November meeting just around the public benefit and some more specificity around the CW Arrival Center. Could you or maybe Drew quickly speak towards the description of that facility?
I think I certainly can.
Okay.
So Colonial Williamsburg would like to, recognizing that times have changed from the days when people wanted a place to go and check in and get information and buy tickets. Now most of that's handled online. They want to build an arrival plaza on Lafayette Street. And this would be in the vicinity of their current, what I call the back of house services buildings, the laundromat, I think their IT department is there, public safety is there off of Botetourt Street. It gives us, the city, a chance to clean up that corridor a little bit, which definitely is in need of some love. It's an expensive project, though, and the money that the TGGRC recommended as part of that application, the money that you all are moving today, doesn't fulfill the requirement. So even with this allocation, I don't imagine that work will begin very soon.
Thank you.
And just to add on to that, as I understand it, it's also to be an area where buses will be able to pull in and unload in a safe manner and with lots of space to accommodate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's intended to be a new landing spot for, an additional landing spot for visitors, particularly in light of additional bus traffic that may be coming to the area with changes in Yorktown, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that this is Colonial Williamsburg trying to plan ahead for those shifts in needs.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, no other questions, then we'll open the public hearing. Anybody would like to come forward to speak to this matter? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and come back to council for consideration, discussion. So, seems pretty straightforward.
Straightforward. So I move that City Council approve Resolution 24-02 as drafted.
Second?
Second.
Okay,
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Kernscher?
Aye.
Takes us now to reports, and the first is the monthly financial statement. Back to you, Ms. Dameron.
Good afternoon. I have just a few comments, beginning with the general fund revenue. Real estate tax revenue, when you look at the December report, looks like it's lagging a little bit at 43.5% realized compared to typically around 50%. However, we had a large volume of mail and a large volume of phone calls, which delayed our ability to post. So although we kept very separate those that were arrived on time, some of those entries didn't make it into January. When I adjust for that, we're right at the 49% mark, which is where we expect to be. Our personal property tax collections are in line with budget expectations at this point in the year. And under other local taxes, hotel and motel taxes on the report are at 43% of the budget. And again, we had some of the same issues with that when I look forward into January and what was picked up. We're at 45% of the budget, which is just slightly below where we were last year, about $19,000 below where we were last year at this time. And then with our meals tax, same issue there. It looks like we're running a little low, around 44% of budget, but actually we come in around 48% of budget, and we're in line a little bit better than where we were last year this time. Overall, the general fund revenues, when adjusted, are in line with budget, and we will continue to watch these revenue streams as we move forward in the year, especially as we move forward with our budget. The expenditures in the revenue, general fund revenue, are in line with budget. And the capital improvement fund, sales tax is performing well compared to the budget, with an increase of about $127,000 compared to last year. Sales tax is also performing well in the tourism fund budget, and it has increased about $117,000 compared to last year. And then in the utility fund, we see our water revenue running just slightly below budget expectation, but not by much. We'll continue to watch that, and the expenditures there are in line with revenue. That concludes my formal comments. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for Director Dameron?
No questions.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, takes us now to monthly departmental operating reports. Do we have somebody taking a turn in the barrel?
Yeah, I think this month we're going to have the police department talk to us a little bit about the Community Advisory Board.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council.
Welcome, Chief.
Thank you for having us. As you know, with your assistance, in fact, in late 2021, we decided to move forward with a citizen advisory committee for the police department. Obviously, the goal here is so that we could be the best police department that we could absolutely be, do a better job of engaging with our community members, and certainly understanding what our community's priorities were so that we could be sure that we were aligning our priorities with those priorities. And so today, I'm fortunately joined by my team, what I feel we've assembled, again with your assistance, a dream team of citizen advisory committees. So rather than me doing all the talking, I've asked for them to take turns in talking to you about what we've done in our first year plus. So I'd like to begin with our chairwoman, Malika Bloom, starting us out.
Welcome, Ms. Bloom.
Good afternoon, Mayor Pons, Vice Mayor Dent, council members and guests. My name is Malika Bloom. I am the chair of the Williamsburg Department Citizen Advisory Council. We began our journey in February of 2022, and it is my honor and pleasure to share briefly with you some of the things we have participated in from a training perspective. We spent an enormous amount of time learning about various aspects and responsibilities of the Williamsburg Police Department. Some of the training consisted of patrol officer equipment, body camera usage, traffic stops, speed measurement, psychological effects of high-stress situations, officer tactics and use of force, de-escalation and use of force, and much more. Our training ranged from community-based policing to investigations. In addition, we were afforded the opportunity to participate in ride-alongs, viewing and understanding body cameras usage. We even participated in measuring speed, and that was a blast.
No one speeds.
Especially me. I would like to thank Chief Dunn, Major Nichols, Lieutenant Smith, Erickson, Elston, retired Lieutenant Ojo, Sergeants Willits, Craig Hill, Officer Williams, and the entire staff for sharing their knowledge, time, and enthusiasm throughout the training process, and providing an environment that was open and inclusive during this time. As an internal auditor of 13 years, I was truly impressed with the exceptional training methods and procedures within the Williamsburg Police Department. It was observed that they hold themselves to a high standard, providing a level of assurance that the Williamsburg Police Department is transparent and continues to look for opportunities to better their practices. Thank you. And we will have next.
Hi, I'm Shannon Wolosnowski, also on the Williamsburg Citizens Advisory Committee. I need my reading glasses for this, sorry. So I'm going to speak to you about the format of each meeting, how our meetings go, things we discuss. Generally, of course, we start with the introductions. We go through the review and updates of the last meeting. One of the things that I think has been particularly impactful for all of us is that when we get these departmental updates, we always talk about events that the police department is engaged in. They're very engaged in with the community. We talk about opportunities for the Citizens Advisory Committee members to go out and also be engaged in the community. Kind of talk to folks about things that they see as concerns, things that we can take back to the committee. We talk each meeting about organizational changes, promotions, but also hiring and retention. And staffing has been a big issue. I think it impacts across the board how they're able to serve, and it's been a concern. They want to be able to keep those numbers up and provide a buffer to be able to address, excuse me, when they do have these retirements, when, we lose people to attrition, things like that. We also talk about citizen complaints, things that they've gotten, concerns that they've heard on their end, again, concerns that we've heard on our ends. One of the things that has we've gotten each meeting probably since we've started has been the update on the building. The building is going to be a huge impact for the police department. We talked about how the expansion is going to really help them in terms of providing not just expanded training, but really to be able to meet the needs of the police department currently, but then how they step into the future. And that's a concern. Even as we toured the police department, we saw some spaces that used to be something else, and maybe at one point was a men's locker room, and maybe it's now the kitchen. I mean, we've really they've made do with every single bit of the space that they have there. But one thing that really spoke to me was that expansion is going to give them the ability to further meet the needs of the community, to be able to invite the community in for forums and training, things like that. So, I think that this has been, we've all been really positively impacted by being able to engage this way with the police department, talk about their needs, and then provide our insight from our areas of expertise in the community. So I'm going to pass it at this point to John, I believe.
Welcome, Mr. Morgan.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and invited guests. I am John Morgan, the Vice Chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee. You like my jacket, too? You can have one of these.
I don't even have one of those.
I'd like to address in my segment of the presentation what are the highlights that the department is undertaking in its efforts to ensure that citizens are afforded a safe and secure environment. The emphasis here is on providing responsive, community-based policing, integrity, fairness, and professionalism through fair and professional police services. The first and one of the most impactful example of the department's commitment to best practices is when it became the 49th law enforcement agency in the United States to be awarded the CALEA accreditation in 1987. CALEA accreditation ensures that the Williamsburg Police Department is held to a higher standard of service. The benefits of participation in CALEA accreditation include: 1, the increased community advocacy. Accreditation embodies the precepts of community-oriented policing. It creates a forum in which law enforcement agencies and citizens are working together to address challenges confronting law enforcement and provides a clear direction about community expectations. Secondly, staunch support from government officials like yourselves. Accreditation provides objective evidence of an agency's commitment to excellence in leadership, resource management, and service delivery. Third, stronger defense against civil lawsuits. Many agencies report a decline in legal action against them once they have become accredited. And fourth, reduced risk and liability exposure, including a reduction in their liability insurance. And lastly, greater accountability within the agency. CALEA standards give the chief a proven management system of written directives, sound training, clearly defined lines of authority, and routine reports that support decision-making and resource allocation. The department has received reaccreditation status 9 times since 1987. Another example of the department's forward-facing planning is the 30 by 30 initiative, Advancing Women in Policing. The goal of 30 by 30 is to ensure that policing agency policies and culture support the success of diverse officers and improve the representation of women in police recruit classes to 30% by the year 2030. Research has shown that women officers are associated with more positive outcomes for communities. Efforts are underway to find and recruit qualified female candidates not only locally, but from already certified officers. A third example is one of the departments working together with the community on the One Mind campaign, which seeks to ensure successful interactions between law enforcement and individuals with mental health conditions. The initiative focuses on uniting local communities, public safety organizations, and mental health organizations so that the three become of one mind. Law enforcement agencies must pledge to implement 3 practices: establishing a clearly defined and sustainable partnership with one or more community health organizations, excuse me, which in our case is Colonial Behavioral Health and the Human Services Department of the city. Secondly, to develop and implement a model policy addressing law enforcement response to individuals with mental health conditions. And finally, to train and certify 100% of sworn officers and dispatchers in mental health awareness courses, such as crisis intervention training. Finally, I want to point out a key organizational initiative that the chief has implemented recently. The 3 bureau heads, the majors, have rotated their assignments. The 3 are heading up these bureaus now manage new areas of responsibility in an effort to provide cross-training and to allow line officers to work with new leadership. These are just a few of the examples of how the city's police department is striving to keep pace with the latest best practices in the field of law enforcement. It's evident to this member of the committee that the chief, through his leadership, promotes continuous improvement throughout the department. In a way, the department strives to set the gold standard among law enforcement agencies throughout the peninsula. The committee's role has been defined as to enhance police-community interaction, to address public safety in order to further enhance quality of life. By being present in the community and hearing the concerns of citizens, as well as communicating vital information related to police policies and operations, we as a committee are acting to enhance the public's knowledge and understanding of its police department. Thank you for the opportunity to serve that role through this committee. Now I'd like to turn it over to our final speaker.
It has been said that a community that is well-informed is stronger. We in the CAC, otherwise known as the Citizens Advisory Committee, we are and will be now in the near future and decades from now an integral part of our community. How? By getting the information that you just heard from our colleagues. And our job is not just to take the information in and go home and put it in a notebook. Our responsibility is to share it within our communities of influence, all of you. Because what Chief Dunn and his department is doing, has done, and will do in the near future, they have risen the bar. And I get around in Hampton Road. I will tell you that Williamsburg Police Department, they have raised the bar here that others are taking notice of, especially with this particular committee, the Citizens Advisory Committee. You've heard the accreditations. You've heard the formats. You've heard that whenever we meet, it's not a one-sided conversation. It is a community event. And thanks to Queen Deb back there, Queen Debbie we like to call her, she provides us with food. And we all go to different meetings and committee meetings where there's no food and we're sitting there mad as hell. But when we walk into this room, we have a spread out. That in and of itself makes you want to attend our quarterly meetings. But what we're asking of all of you is you see these beautiful jackets that we're donning this afternoon. We want to take these jackets, not take it home and put it up in our closets, but we want to attend your events. We want to attend more city council meetings, school board meetings, and the like. Why? Because the citizens of James City County and Williamsburg deserve to know what the police department is doing, not on a daily basis, but on an interim basis. Why? Because social media and the media itself has given this dark cloud to law enforcement internationally. And we want you to know that through the leadership of Chief Dunn, and I'm always giving him the credit for it, through his leadership with him, his staff, and all of you, we will take this particular committee to even a higher standard. To Mayor Pond, City Council, and all the citizens, we want you to be a part of the Citizens Advisory Committee, not coming to our meetings, but supporting us and listening to what we have to say to all of you. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for your time.
And that concludes our report. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Well, I don't know that I have any questions, but I will comment and congratulate you, Chief, and all the members of the committee. When this council decided to put this committee together, it wasn't because we feared that the police department wasn't the best. Moreover, it was felt that it was an opportunity to communicate to the citizens that we are the best and get them engaged and let them learn firsthand from people participating, as we just heard from the folks that are on the committee, and thank you for your work and dedication to it, so that they can do just that, go back to the community and talk about how good our police department is, how much work goes into making sure that we are fair, that we are professional in all of our doings, and have a body that can listen to the community, their concerns and their complaints, and address those through the organization. And I'm very proud to hear that that is absolutely what is happening. It makes me feel good to hear such glowing comments. Again, I know it, and because I'm more involved than most citizens, but whatever we can do to dissipate that dark cloud over policing, particularly in Williamsburg, we ought to be doing it, and you all through this committee are doing that. So thank you very much for all your work and efforts. Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yeah. Thank you all for being here today, but more importantly, for serving on the committee and sharing your perspective, and really building what was already a well-respected department, but making sure that that's known throughout the community. And as the mayor alluded to, we already knew there wasn't a black cloud on this department, but getting that message out there and trying to overcome the social media and media that puts that black cloud over a blanket over every department. And to you, Chief Dunn, for your leadership, and most of all, because in a lot of localities, these types of committees are not well received by the organization. So for your willingness to listen to the input, to go out in the community and build those relationships, it just makes Williamsburg an even better place than it already is. So we thank you for everything and your leadership every day, but specifically dealing with this committee.
Right, yes, I'll echo the huge thanks to all the committee members for your time, for your energy, for what you're doing as a volunteer for the community, and for this presentation. That was really extraordinary and helpful. And I appreciate very much the point of, not just going to a meeting and having a talk and then going home and then being like, well, that was a nice talk, and I think we've probably all been on committees that are kind of like that. But to think about it as something that can really, be disseminated and talked about in part of the community. And so to that point, if somebody does want to invite, the members of the committee to talk and to learn about the work that you're doing, how might be the best way for someone in the community to do that?
Certainly if they reached out to me, I would be more than happy to coordinate that. Yeah, we would welcome that opportunity.
Great, thank you so much again.
Yeah, and I just want to echo my thanks to you for your leadership and for the committee when we first sort of stood this up. I don't think we knew exactly what was going to transpire, and so it's really helpful having the report and hearing from the different members, their perspective, and just really getting a feel for it. And like Stacy said, be interesting to find not only how there could be more integration between the committee and the community, but also what are some of the next steps, sort of the goals that you all are hoping to accomplish in the next year when we get our next report, hopefully. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chief Dunn, thanks as well, and to all the members of the CAC for your work and service for Williamsburg. To the point of next year, one of the things I think that we'll really rely on you all on for the CAC is how can you best advise the department on how to have a police HQ 2.0, if you will, that is welcoming to the public, right? That has spaces that they can come and they can meet with you and they can convene. It isn't just a area of town they don't know much about. So I see that work being done in the present and you all's representation on boards and volunteer committees locally, but also in the future as well for advising physical infrastructure in the city. And I'm just so happy and proud of Williamsburg and proud of the leadership of our police department for having that bubble up from the community rather than just be a decision at the administration level for your department. So thank you again, you all, for your service, and Chief for you, and the entirety staff's leadership for being willing to work with the community so closely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you all.
Chief. Okay, City Manager, I don't know if you can follow that, but it's your opportunity for your report.
None today, other than I'm gonna have to start attending those meetings just to see what kind of food they're serving.
I was gonna- we get candy, but I don't know, a sandwich might be good. Ms. Shelton, anything?
Nothing today.
Okay, it takes us now to open forum, which is an opportunity for anybody in the audience to come forward. I do have several speakers card, and so we'll start with Helen Murphy.
Hi, City Council members. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm here today because I plan to drive a number of my elderly neighbors down here who wanted to speak about an agenda item that has since been pulled. But since I already rearranged my work schedule to attend the meeting, I decided I would come and just speak about the process of setting and posting the agendas for City Council work sessions and meetings. I find that they leave a little bit to be desired. I understand that council has a number of constituencies and shareholders, and you try to be even-handed to all of us, and I appreciate that, but the current structure is heavily biased toward developers and against residents. First, those of us attending these meetings in the middle of a workday who have job responsibilities and home responsibilities, and those with mobility challenges like the ones I was going to drive, we really have to prepare to come to the meetings. So the meeting agenda should be posted at least 1 week in advance, and recently it's been posted on Friday mornings. It should also not be possible to pull an agenda item 2 hours before it's supposed to be heard, which is what I saw on the website today at noon, and this is not the first time that this has happened. If my undergrads said 2 hours before class that they were not going to present, they would get an F. So there's nothing wrong with the city telling parties who request to be on the agenda that no changes can be made after the agenda is posted. Agenda items will be heard and voted on with or without the party in attendance. It's just unfair to the residents and the taxpayers to allow last-minute changes. Such a policy would also encourage developers and others with business before the council to only request to be on the agenda when they're absolutely ready. Second, I've been told by multiple council members that voicing concerns at a work session can be more productive because then you all have time to consider what we said, do research, and think about things before you vote at the next meeting. But the work session agendas are posted at the same time as the meeting agendas, which is often just 1 business day in advance of the actual work session. So that's simply not enough time for residents to make arrangements to attend. Given that meetings and work sessions only occur once a month, I actually encourage you to post agendas 2 weeks in advance, if possible, and prohibit changes once they're posted. You know, I get it that it can be really uncomfortable to have a room full of upset residents, and oftentimes we want to avoid it, developers want to avoid it, but that's the messy process of democracy. And allowing people to play cat and mouse is unacceptable, and it's antithetical to a democratic process. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker's card I have, I believe, is Saeed M. Saying that correctly, I hope. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council Member. This is Syed M., Hampton Roads, Virginia. I lived in this area for more than 25 years, and this is a very nice city. You guys are maintaining the city well. We love to come here, visit, and all for the tourism and our guests and coming from different states. So we invite them to come to the Williamsburg area. So this is very nice. In regard to that, I want to talk something about hate crimes increasing in this time. Why it is increasing, I think the background is different. As you know, around the world, there are millions of people going to the street in every major capital of the world, and including the U.S. also in all major cities. People's going out for asking to stop this war and stop this genocide. So I can talk about a little more that how we can do this thing, because I think this is not the problem of religion, because the Jewish brother and sister, they're also raising a voice for peace and raising a voice for not on our name. So these are the main thing, but we have to check that if there is a certain regime is doing that thing. As we are hearing the sound of war crimes and other things, so these are bad words. How we can explain this on the local level? Sometime I heard that this is the international issue. What we can do about that, but this is the humanitarian issue. Actually, it's not only the issue for something a geopolitical thing. So whatever the atrocities happened on October 7, and we condemn, and I condemn the same way, on the basis of what happened. So many lives are lost, women's killed, and children are killed in that event. So we can condemn that. So base is the loss of lives, not for like a religion base or a language base or anything like that. So we base that the human lives are lost in this event. So, but we have to check what happened after that. What happened that in the last 60 days or 90 days, there are more than 23,000 people, civilian lives are lost, 10,000 children are killed, and there are many thousands are still under the rubble. So, as I think the local issue is, as we start the meeting and we pledge to the flag of United States under one guard, we liberty and justice for all. So it's mean liberty and justice for all, not for the local or not for the Williamsburg. So we have to work something and show the sympathy of that. So I'm as a Amnesty member, our purpose is to protect people wherever justice, freedom, and the dignity are denied. We invest and expose abuses, educate, mobilize the public, and help transfer societies to create a safer area. So I think I'm just going short. My time is please, I recommend if you can approve something, the condemnation of the hate crime increasing, condemn the genocide in any way that this is, everyone condemn that thing. So if this thing is coming up, you have to condemn too. And the war crime, we have to support the International Justice Court to bring the war crimes into that justice. And my time is up. I have another topic, but thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Saeed. Appreciate you coming forward. The next speaker's card I have is Shanine Nens. I know I didn't say it correctly, but so if you would, for the record, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Cyan Nanez. I have received 2 replies regarding the ceasefire resolution I drafted for the city of Williamsburg. Councilman Roger replied, and I quote, that the city of Williamsburg has chosen to refrain from engaging in international political matters. Vice Mayor Dent replied, and I quote, we do not engage in national or international issues. Chapter 39, Section 2.2, TAC 3900 of the Code of Virginia, known as the Virginia Human Rights Act, states, it is policy of the Commonwealth to safeguard all individuals within the Commonwealth from unlawful discrimination because of race, color, religion, national origin. New data from the Anti-Defamation League and the Council on American Islamic Relations reveals a spike in reported incidents of both anti-Semitism and anti-Arab and anti-Muslim bias. recording 2,031 anti-Semitic incidents alone in the 2 months after the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel. The Virginia pilot estimated a Jewish population of 14,600 in Hampton Roads and a Muslim population of approximately 2,300. Mayor Pons, you stated that goal number 4 for the city is prioritizing safety and wellness, services that support, improve, and sustain individual health and community safety. Thomas Jefferson, the most famous alumni of Williams and Mary Law School, stated in Section 1 of the original draft of the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom that it is impious presumption of legislators and rulers who, being themselves but fallible and uninspired men, have assumed dominion over the faith of others, setting up their own opinions and modes of thinking as the only true and infallible, and as such endeavoring to impose them on others, that to compel a man to furnish contributions of money for the propagation of opinions which he disbelieves and abhors is sinful and tyrannical. His Declaration of Independence states that whenever any form of government becomes destructive at these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government. Some of the abuses listed in the Declaration are as follows: has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, and when our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury, a prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Local government is not a separate entity from federal government. Government is government. The people have spoken. Your silence is our injury. You have subjected us to jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution. There is nothing democratic about genocide. This is taxation without representation. In honor of Dr. King, I will be closing with a few words from his I Have a Dream speech. When the architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note. This note was a promise that all men would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has defaulted on this promissory note instead of honoring this sacred obligation. Now it is time to make justice a reality for all of God's children. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of this creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to come forward? Please, if you just come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good day. My name is Chuck Young. I live at 307 Capitol Landing Road. That's just the other side of the wooden bridge. And actually, I sure didn't plan to speak today, or I would have had prepared notes. But the reason I came today was to listen to the Millneck Road presentation. So it's a surprise to me that it was canceled, but it's obvious that you have awakened a sleeping giant, so to speak. But the reason I'm here is in a future session, y'all will be hearing an application for 235 apartment complex project on Penniman Road. And my concern is when you drive around town that it's being overdeveloped and it's a proliferation of high density development. And I hope there's going to be a lot more people from our side of town here to oppose that one. I'm just here trying to learn the process. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Would anybody else like to come forward? Seeing none, I'll close the open forum and move forward to the agenda. There's nothing under unfinished business, which takes us to new business. Item A is consideration and action regarding proposed resolution 24-03 in support of the Virginia America's 250th Commission. Mr. Trivette.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The city of Williamsburg took the action, it's been probably well, several months ago, to form a local 250th committee, which has done so at almost, Nicole and I learned, every jurisdiction in the state has done this just about. I think there were 3 that they failed to mention at their most recent meeting. And one of the requirements of the state to form that committee is to have a resolution of support for both the Virginia 250th Committee, which is a statewide group, as well as the local group. And so that's what this resolution is, just catching us up to that state requirement.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Let's get it done.
All right, so I move that City Council approve Resolution 24-03.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. McKay.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Kernscher?
Aye.
Next takes us to consideration and action regarding Resolution 24-01, requesting VDOT maintenance payments for certain streets. Mr. Small, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. For you today is proposed resolution 24.01, which would resolve acceptance of a section of Monticello Avenue west of the old, well, it's actually the current city line, just right across from the School of Education, all the way out to Ironbound Road. This section of Monticello Avenue was built originally in 1971. And back then, the road used to stop kind of at Mount Vernon Avenue, and then it was a driveway to the old health department and kind of the backside of the old hospital. Since then, it was extended and built along with Compton Drive, kind of as a back entrance to the College of William and Mary. And at that time, William and Mary was expanding a lot on the western side of their campus, and I believe that's also when William and Mary Hall was built. So this was going to provide that back way out. Now, it stopped at Ironbound Road because originally Monticello did not go beyond that. Well, since then, times have changed a little bit. We annexed out in that area, and so during the annexation in 1984, Monticello was not accepted into the city's road system because it was still considered to be an institutional road, meaning part of the campus road system, which is maintained by the state and the campus college themselves. Then, since then, a lot of things else have changed out there, and Trayburn Drive was extended from that near that location at an old entrance into Chambrel retirement community, and then that was extended all the way to Ironbound Road on the north end with the construction of High Street. What we're proposing now is to accept Monticello Avenue all into the city's road system for maintenance. All the way out to Ironbound Road within the jurisdiction. But if we do that, that would also isolate Trayburn Drive from the rest of the county road systems, even though it is still in James City County. And that's just a fluke of the way the corporate limits are. Rather than do this, we're proposing to accept also that section of Trayburn Drive. Makes it easier for operations such as snowplow, road clearing, and a lot of people consider that as part of our roads anyway. And so we always are getting questions about, okay, who's going to actually put the line striping out there? And that'd be one of the first things we would have to do on Trayburn Drive. Trayburn actually was constructed using some of the city funds to build and extend it. And so we worked with James City County to make it look like our street. But, of course, when it came to acceptance, we only accepted what was within the city limits. What this will do is add about 2.45 lane miles of arterial and collector streets. Trayburn Drive is actually a local collector. Monticello Avenue is a minor arterial. And that would provide about $58,700 of additional maintenance funds at the current rates based on the 2.45 lane miles. And with that, I'll answer any other questions that you may have.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Small. Clearly, particularly for Monticello, it's in the city, and so this is kind of one of those outlier streets that isn't maintained by VDOT.
Correct.
But that said, VDOT helps support the maintenance of these funds through the city. It's just that we manage and control when it happens, and then we apply for,
Correct.
funding from VDOT to take care of that. Whereas in the counties, VDOT just automatically fixes streets when they feel like they need to fix streets.
Yes, it's on their schedule, and of course, they've got a lot more, they're spread out more.
Sure.
And so what I feel is like, even though per lane mile, I believe we actually get less money per lane mile than they would. We don't have the overhead to maintain these roads that the Commonwealth of Virginia does.
Sure.
And so we're actually able to really utilize that money a lot more efficiently than they could.
And so with the Trayburn Drive, which is clearly in the county, by accepting that into the city's maintenance program, doesn't affect the funding that we would get back in terms from the state for maintaining these roads.
No, that funding, that would be part of the funding that we would receive.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is this is actually very similar to Richmond Road. Many people don't realize when you're driving down Richmond Road heading out of town, you pass into York County. Once you pass the Bank of America on Richmond Road and you continue on down until you're past the Captain John Smith Hotel, you're in York County. But the city maintains those 2 lanes going out. Similarly, a few years ago, we accepted the rest of Battery Boulevard between the corporate limits, which is about 300 or 400 feet up Battery Boulevard, all the way out to Pocahontas Trail. Again, it's one of those things where it makes sense because we're already working on the streets this side, and everybody thinks that's our street anyway.
Simply can't stop plowing at the city line.
It's it would be kind of dumb to just stop plowing right there at the city line.
Okay. Well, that makes sense that we would move forward with this so that we can have some of that managerial aspects of it, and then in return get some of the funding from the state to support those streets ultimately. Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, no questions. I agree. I think it makes sense. The one question I had was, over the years, we've heard some issues about the current speed limit on that section of Monticello. So would this give us the authority to
Yes.
at least take a look at that in the future?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And thank you. Maybe this is a very basic question, but I think I missed this. Who's doing this right now? We're accepting it, but who's?
VDOT currently maintains the road between
Okay.
all the way from Ironbound Road until you get to, including the signal located at Trayburn Drive.
Okay.
So that'd be another part of the acceptance. We'd be accepting that traffic signal. Again, that gives us a little better control because that signal is timed with the other signals up the hill at Midtown Row and at Richmond Road.
Okay, so this is accepting something and doing something that makes sense, basically, and then getting the additional maintenance funds that then would essentially cover something that makes sense.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Ramsey?
Thank you. Again, common sense, and it's always nice to proceed in that direction. So when you talk about accepting, do we not have to ask VDOT for them, or do we just go to them and say?
This is actually, this resolution is the formal request.
Okay.
To ask them to allow us to accept it. We've already kind of informally talked with them, talked with James City County even, because if there were a site plan to come up where a right-of-way permit were required on Trayburn Drive, we would have review authority and would issue right-of-way permits for that, because it would be affecting the road that we would maintain.
And that was one of my other questions, whether we had to ask approval or advise James City County that we were planning on doing this.
I talked to them.
And you already have, yeah.
About a month and a half, 2 months ago.
So once VDOT gets this request, then we'll hear back from them, and I'm sure they'll say, yep, it's all yours.
Yeah, annually, about this time of year, usually I think it's due by February 1st, we submit what's called Form U1, which is the request from urban localities such as ourselves to submit street acceptances. Typically where we see this is in new subdivisions, so newly built roads. Very rarely do we see roads that have been around for, almost 50 years.
And so for Trayburn, since we already have part of it, and Monticello both, it would just be an extension, and then they would fall into our regular paving schedule that we have on a,
Exactly.
whatever, 5 years, whatever.
10,
10,
when-
15.
it depends on the condition, exactly.
Right. Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Small, for the presentation. Outside of what's already been asked, I have no additional questions.
Sir.
So, Councilwoman Stacy Kern-Sure asked a question about the maintenance. So, in the past, we've actually had citizens come to council complaining about issues, especially up
A
close.
few years ago, there were a ton of potholes.
Right before Ironbound Road, and
we
they were
couldn't do
just
anything about it.
issues that were not being, so there's always been that perception that that part of the road is in the city anyway, as you alluded to earlier.
Did you see that welcome to Williamsburg
Yeah.
sign? They know it's in the
Yeah.
city. Exactly.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Small. I'd like to make a,
So I move that City Council approve Resolution 24-01.
Second.
Ms. McKay?
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Kern-Sure?
Aye.
Thank you. Takes us to item agenda C, direction to staff regarding the purchase of 1223 and 1233 Richmond Road. Ms. Adams, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Pons and members of City Council, for allowing me time on today's agenda. As noted in the agenda item summary in your meeting packet, in January of 2016, City Council approved the purchase of 1223 and 1233 Richmond Road with the stated intent of demolishing the defunct Super 8 motel that sat on the property, which would provide opportunity for future redevelopment. Last year, City Council received 2 unsolicited proposals for the property and directed staff to market the property for sale. Andy Dallas is with us today to provide an update. He's a senior vice president with Thalheimer. He has 19 years of experience and holds nationally recognized designations, CCIM, which is Certified Commercial Investment Member, and SIOR, Society of Industrial and Office Realtors. Thalheimer is a full-service commercial real estate firm, which was started over 100 years ago. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Dallas. He's going to provide a background on the process and progress to date.
Welcome, Mr. Dallas.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. Appreciate your time today. So this is the property that we're going to discuss with the physical address of 1223 and 1233 Richmond Road. As you can see, it's outlined here. It is located in between the Kim's gas station and the Peter Chang restaurant on Richmond Road. It is approximately just under an acre, and it is zoned general business. So the process started in on June 9th in 2023 when the city retained Thalheimer for the sale of the property. The property has been listed at $1.2 million. And marketing activities commenced on August 1st of 2023. Thalheimer used national, regional, and local marketing platforms, and these would have included LoopNet, CoStar, Crexi, Thalheimer's own website, digital advertising, targeted marketing campaigns, brokerage email blasts, and phone calls to prospective developers. So, my role, Thalheimer's role, was to maximize exposure on the property, make sure as many people knew about the opportunity as possible. So, what happens next? City Council met in a closed session on December the 11th, 2023, to review materials received from interested parties. City Council discussed that the next steps may include the preparation of a letter of intent. A letter of intent is a document that highlights the key business terms that a buyer and seller will agree to as part of the real estate transaction. A letter of intent precedes the production of a legally binding purchase and sale agreement between the parties. City Council to consider authorising the City Manager to enter initial negotiations to sell the property to Lone G Incorporated using a letter of intent. If mutually acceptable terms are agreed using the letter of intent, then the parties would progress to drafting a formal purchase and sale agreement. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Mr. Dallas. Just to be clear, I mean, you went to the market full guns to promote the sale of this property, and you came back with several different offers of concepts of what could be built there.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, I feel, we did a comprehensive marketing process and campaign and exposed it to all the other, commercial real estate companies, brokers, developers, and used the, commercial real estate specific national websites and platforms to make sure that we had interest from the West Coast, from local people. So I feel we kind of threw the net pretty wide on it.
Good. So we got a fair representation of what was available in terms of what could be there. Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I have no questions. I think we've done our due diligence to look at all the possibilities that could be on these parcels and ready to move forward.
Yes, I agree. I think, as was noted, getting to unsolicited offers really spurring us to think about, casting this wide net, and that's what we've done. And so I feel comfortable with the letter of intent as the next step.
Same for me. I don't have any additional questions or comments.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I know the interest from developers was unrequested, at least initially, so we decided to pause and really market the parcel. So I'm comfortable with the amount of interest we got in moving forward with this plan.
Thank you, Mr. Dallas.
Thank you.
Council like to take action?
So I move that City Council direct the City Manager to negotiate a letter of intent with Lone G Inc. for the sale of 1223 and 1233 Richmond Road.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Current Chair?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Dallas. All right. Mr. Vice Mayor, do we have anything for closed session?
We do. I move to go into closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3711 of the Code of Virginia for the purpose of discussing one personnel matter per subparagraph 1 concerning absences from meetings.
Second.
Okay.
Mr. Rogers?
Aye.
Ms. Ramsey?
Aye.
Mayor Pons?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Dent?
Aye.
Ms. Current Chair?
Aye.
Okay. After we conclude the closed session, we'll come back out for the certification of that closed session meeting.